Ladies and gentlemen of Bills Mafia, Don Mafia Report, hashtag Nation, it is almost that time. I cannot wait for this freaking game to start. Given the things that transpired yesterday, obviously this is the second go-around for the Bills and the Chiefs this year, however, in a playoff setting. The revenge tour, whatever you want to call it, Bills are on a warpath. They're playing, one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now, and they are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. So what else can I do than have one of the hottest YouTubers in Bills streaming come and join me for this to try to get my nerves down because I'm about to lose my freaking mind, Dan. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, if you brought me on that to get your nerves down, I'm not the guy because my butthole is tight as it's ever been, my friend. Okay.
Oh
it's tough. I mean, I feel like that anxiety is through the roof for the vast majority of Bills fans out there, but there's a couple of things that is making me confident. I mean, you know that I'm the guy that loves putting out those ballsy titles. Like, I think the Bills are going to murder this team. They're going to whatever. They're going to ever. Spoiler alert, and I'm never going to admit this on my channel. So if anybody really wants to figure it out, they'll have to watch this one and to see me actually come out and say this. But I mean, I'm nervous each and every single game, and this is going to be a challenge. Like I was telling you before this game, the way that yesterday panned out, if we win this game, we are going to win the Super Bowl, hands down. I guarantee you. If we win this game, book your flights to the parade because this is our only test.
Let's try to piece this together, Dan, because I know we've been talking about this. It's been hot on Twitter. It's been hot, going on in the national media and everything like that. What transpired yesterday with the San Francisco 49ers defeating the Green Bay Packers, obviously a number one seed out. And then the Tennessee Titans, the fourth time that they were the number one seed and knocked out by the Cincinnati Bengals. I think it just totally it took it to another level with the Buffalo Bills fans and the Bills Mafia and whatnot, with the fact that, listen, if you win now, if you defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, you have a home AFC championship game.
Exactly.
And I know probably the Buffalo Bills players felt it. I know all the fans felt it. It's one of those things like you're at the precipice, and everyone, including you, including myself, we're saying this is the window. We've said it all year. This is the window for the Buffalo Bills to try to get in there and make their run at a title. Bean and McDermott have set up this team beautifully. And if let's talk ahead for a second. If the Bills get past the Chiefs, what a great litmus test for them to try to take on the three-headed monster in Boyd, Higgins, and Chase with Joe Burrow behind the helm. I mean, their tight end's pretty solid too, but just focusing on this game alone, Dan, I know you've had your claims and stuff. What is the one thing you want to see the Buffalo Bills do today that could ensure a victory for them?
What I want to do is I want Allen to play very, very smart football, especially behind that offensive line, because yes, we're 100% healthy, but we need to understand that first matchup against the Chiefs, they were hurting pretty significantly on that defensive line.
Yes.
And let's just say this way, it looks like it was just announced either earlier last night or this morning. Willie Gay Jr. is back from linebacker. You're getting a healthy Frank Clark and Chris Jones. Those are monsters that are going to have to be accounted for. So the one thing I'm going to have to do is ball security needs to be at an absolute highest priority. And finally, for the first time, I would say this season for the Buffalo Bills, we don't have any type of ridiculous fucking weather conditions that we need to worry about, right? I mean, it's going to be a relatively mild evening. I think limited winds in the 40s. You're essentially asking, we are in conditions right now that is calling for Josh Allen prior to the game to have a fucking game. So as long as he has great pocket awareness, doesn't make any mistakes, no fumbles, no interceptions, and we make the most out of every single drive that we can, I have a feeling that we're going to be the winners at the end of the day. But really what needs to happen is we just cannot give the Chiefs extra opportunities at all. Ball security, hands down, number one for me.
Yeah, it's weird too, because when I take what the defense gives them checkdowns all day, exactly, Miguel, exactly. I waver on this game, and I told you this before we even went on the air. I think that part of me is like the Bills have to score 40 to beat the Chiefs, and maybe that's kind of like the past me trying to think, I mean, the Buffalo Bills played the Kansas City Chiefs and had a 10-0 lead last year before, the bottom fell out. I mean, the Chiefs were like, you're going to go in the red zone and kick a field goal? Yeah, that's going to lose you the game. And I still think that's going to be very, very true for today. If the Buffalo Bills get in the red zone and they settle for 3, it's going to be a long day for them. But then the other part of me is going, listen, this defense is playing at such a level right now that's ridiculous. And then, like you just said, Chiefs got all their guys back. They got a lot of their guys back. And it's going to be very hard to try to see how that plays out. Could we see a Green Bay, San Francisco type game where this is 7-0 at halftime? Defenses are playing really well. One crucial turnover could force the hand. I mean, going back to the game that they played earlier this year, the Bills were really not at their best either, but they still managed to make enough plays in that game. And the referee was awful in that game. I think we remember that. There were some calls in there that were just actually stupid, that extended drives for the Chiefs, that some of the Bills fans were just like, what's going on here? This is kind of stupid. I know a lot of you might go back. If you hear from the Chiefs channel, you're going to be like, well, what about that, roughing the passer on Allen? And that was BS. Well, you know what? You take one, you give one. I mean, sometimes that happens. But now, is there something, Dan, I want to ask you this. Is there something that you could say that would be so far-fetched that may happen in this game? Like everyone's talking about Allen versus Mahomes and these defenses and all that. What would be like a far-fetched prediction for you? Like Singletary having a $150 on the ground, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire having 3 receiving touchdowns. Like no one's worried about him out of the backfield. Something wild like that. Let's give the Mafia something to talk about.
So an objectively unrealistic take is what you're looking for.
Yes.
Okay. We are going to go 2 games in a row without punting the football. We are not going
to
again. Yep. And so, I mean, a lot of this has to do with the fact. So a lot of this has to do with the fact of what you and I were talking about before we ended up going offline. And I have a feeling that this is going to play a pretty significant role in the passing game today. When you look at it offensively, right? Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen are number 1 and number 2 for play action yards, completion percentage, etc. Our defenses also share this category. However, it is on the opposite side of the spectrum. The Buffalo Bills are number 1 at defending all play action, and the Kansas City Chiefs are dead last in the league out of all 32 teams for defending play action. I have a feeling that we're going to make the most out of our damn offensive drives. And I think that we're about to see that secondary absolutely carved up. And Matt Hawk, thank the Lord, won't see the field tonight. That's exactly what I'm at right now.
Do you think that they're going to – hold on, I got to send this. Razor wanted to hop in, so I'm going to send him the link real quick.
Razor
wanted to hop in. So, oh, man, that's interesting. They're not going to play. I think that
and so you said unrealistic, man.
No, I like the idea of them not punting, because I think you got to put everything on the line at this point. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you cross the 50, I think, I don't agree with a lot of things that Colin Cowherd says. I don't agree with a lot of things he says.
No.
But he said, I remember one time he was talking about the Chiefs. He said they're the only team in the NFL that when they cross the 50, they seem like they're in the red zone because they're that explosive. And I think to a degree that has to be extended to the Bills somewhat for how explosive they could be when they cross the 50. So I think when they get into that, you get into the 40 or the 30, you're sitting there going, this has got to be 4-down territory. We cannot settle for field goals against this team, especially if they're getting a lot of these defensive players back. And, you have to try to, put everything on the line right now, because what's at stake is, I mean, the Chiefs already know the Bengals. They've already played them and they lost to them. So, they're probably looking ahead too. I mean, hopefully they're not looking. I mean, they're not looking too far in that. But, I cannot wait for this game to manifest. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I am so interested in the script, Dan, and what both of these teams, what Andy Reid and Bieniemy and McDermott and Dable try to have come into this game, and what the script's going to be, and how they're going to try to attack each of these defenses. And that's the thing that really goes too. You said that Mahomes and Allen are really close as far as play action goes and their efficiency and everything. How will this defense play for the Chiefs? Like, that's the real question mark for me, because you know how the Buffalo Bills defense has played. And I got this guy up here for a reason, Dan. I'm scared that this is going to be the game where everyone's going to be like,
right.
I don't want it to happen, but I fear this is gonna be the game where like we're gonna say, oh, I wish we had Trey that game. I wish we had Trey this game. But the way that these corners have been playing and the way that Hyde and Poyer have been covering the back end, I mean, I'm gonna say something, Dan, and please don't get mad at me. Don Mafia, #Nation Bills Mafia. Don't get mad.
Don't say what I think you're gonna say.
Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me.
Don't say what I think you're gonna say, man.
I gotta say it. I gotta say because this is what I do over here. And #Nation, thanks for coming. Tehran takes one to the house. Everyone's marveling over the Hyde pick, the interception that Hyde had, and I marveled over it as well. The fact that Levi Wallace was beat by 4 yards concerns me.
Yeah,
that concerned me. Let's all get mad at Mario. Yes, Spin, you will. And getting people mad at me. Let's bring this guy on.
No. Oh,
you two look ridiculous.
What up, Ray? All right. First off, right before we start talking about that, Mario, I would have to agree with you on that because if Nelson Aguilar can burn Levi Wallace for 4 yards, imagine what Tyreek Hill would burn him by. We're talking like 7-8, easy. So, yes, I think it's a genuine concern that Trey White's not going to be on the field. But he's just one guy, right? He's just one guy. And I have a feeling that Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott have something cooked up.
At least for those of you that are new or those of you that are just coming in, you should know who this guy is. We all, unfortunately, know him and have his phone number for God knows what reasons. The former Talking Football with Ray. Yes, the DPN, Dear Pats Nation himself, trying to, at the beginning of the season, this guy predicted the Bills would go to the bowl. So I figured it's only fitting to have him and his. Who are you trying to be with those glasses there?
Oh, I was outside when you messaged me. I forgot how to hear.
Oh my God!
I'll be slick.
Razor, bend the brim. You could serve food on that tray. Come on, brother. What are you doing?
Listen. I've had beef the last 2 weeks over my brimmed hats. So let's not go there. I want to apologize to the Bills Mafia if I could.
Oh boy, here we go.
I have been the absolute kiss of death throughout this postseason, except last week when I chose Buffalo to win. Outside of that, Packers Nation, I'm sorry. Dallas fans, I'm sorry. Tennessee fans, I'm sorry. Like, it's just one after another. And it's only like I've been right a little bit, but it's only when I really double down on things and like all my social media posts, I really say like they're going to win. I have said on every outlet I'm on, Newsbreak, Dean Blundell, my YouTube page, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, I have predicted the Bills are going to beat Kansas City today. So I apologize ahead of time if they lose because I gave the absolute kiss of death, and I think it's too late to go back on. it.
So I think that there's like a double. And so, I mean, first off, nothing upsets me more, like any time when I ever get somebody on like my Twitter feed be like, oh my God, Dan, you're jinxing it. Homie, we're not in second grade. Those don't exist, okay? A random guy making videos in his spare bedroom has zero effect on what happens during the game. If I was to believe in a kiss of death with yours and also combined with TD Finstock, because we all know that TD Finstock hates the Bills more than anything.
Yep.
Anytime he has picked the Bills to win, which he has this week, we have also lost. I'm putting that negative energy out there. I'm hoping it's not the case, but
and speaking of TD, he even came in. He said Chiefs by 300.
Chiefs, please invite that fool in here if you can.
You got the link, Danny. If you want to light him up, you want to send the link to him.
Yeah.
If TD wants to come in here and just say Josh Allen's trash for 15 minutes, just let him know. He's going to get a nice retort from me.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have to do that. All right. Yo, TD, if you're still watching, buddy, I'm sending you the link right now.
Ban TD Finstock. That is so fun.
But did TD block me or something? It says TD Finstock can't be messaged. What do you mean, fool?
Okay, so Ray, as an outside observer, since your team's no longer in it.
Fuck you, yes. Okay, go ahead.
Cody Clemens, thank you. Dan, thoughts on White and White breaking blue curse? I don't know what's that supposed to mean. 5 minutes. Okay. Razor, what is something that you expect to see today, and what's something that could be, because Dan gave a wild prediction for the game, what he expects to see. What's something that you expect to see today? What's something that Bills fans and Chiefs fans could be like, well, I didn't see that coming. What are some things that you have for this game today?
Nothing. You already saw it. It's going to be a repeat of the first time they played.
Oh,
listen, Tampa Bay showed the formula last year of how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, what I'm going to say is not every team in the NFL is equipped to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to have a combination of pass rush, and you have to have a combination of being able to cover their receivers. It doesn't matter how much talent you have in the secondary from 1 to 2, and then Kelsey. It doesn't matter the talent. It's scheming and it's coaching that win those kind of battles. Patrick Mahomes is going to be on his ass a lot today, or we're going to see another epic moment that Chiefs fans are going to immortalize of Patrick Mahomes flying through the air, throwing an incomplete pass, or that should have been intercepted. That's what you're going to see today. I think, and listen, Buffalo's bringing a different dynamic offensively that they didn't have that first game. You can run the football now. Buffalo can actually move the ball on the ground. That didn't exist back in October. That was Thanksgiving weekend, by the way, up here in the Great White North.
Bills from the East.
And I sat in a cottage with a bunch of Buffalo Bills fans watching them all go bananas over this Kansas City Chiefs game. Saying it right now, it's you guys are equipped to beat the Chiefs defensively. You're equipped to beat them offensively. You've added the run game into the mix. You have one of the best receivers in the NFL in Stephon Diggs, and I think that he's going to just burn everybody off the line. Here's my concern, if I'm going to throw a concern. You and I have discussed this, Mario, on numerous occasions over on my channel. The injury to Tre'Davious White has meant nothing to the Buffalo Bills, and I said the only game where we might see it rear its ugly head is the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. However, coaching can overcome injuries. Tyreek Hill against New England Patriots back in 2018 had a game where I think he had like 7 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns in the regular season. The New England Patriots held him to 1 reception the next time they played and almost completely eliminated Travis Kelce out of the game. You want to know the biggest difference now for Buffalo and where they get the advantage? They don't have Sammy Watkins in the background. You know what I mean? They don't have the supporting pieces they once had, which is why I think that when you go top to bottom outside of punting the football, which Buffalo doesn't do a lot anyways, and it shows because Hack gets Hawker, what's his name? Gets no practice whatsoever. Outside of punting the football, I would put Bass over Butker. This team is better from top to bottom. Buffalo is better from top to bottom. I told you in June the Buffalo Bills were going to the Super Bowl this year.
Yes, you did.
And
that's fact.
From an outside perspective now, from an I don't care perspective.
You care. Stop it. You do.
I do and I don't.
You hate the Chiefs more than the Bills do.
Oh, I do hate. I hate the Chiefs with a passion. I don't hate the Chiefs. I hate their fan base. It's very different. Very different hate. Like, I don't hate Patrick Mahomes. I actually love Travis Kelce. You know me. I love guys with swag. I love swag. And he's got like my kind of swag. Just that I don't give a shit attitude. However, I'm really rooting for a Tampa Bay Buffalo Super Bowl just because the storyline is so compelling. And Bill Burr tweeted it out today, and it's really what he said. It's either Buffalo finally gets the girl, you know what I mean? Or it's like the love story that doesn't come to fruition and the underdog doesn't win. I just think it's a great storyline, and and I can't wait for it. And I really, going in that game, I'd be cheering for Buffalo.
Oh man!
Because I hate because there's a lot of people wearing Tampa Bay jerseys who were wearing Mac Jones jerseys last week.
You saw the meme. We're down, but we're not out.
But yeah, no, I've had Buffalo.
Down, never out.
I have a million receipts that has had me saying all year. But Dan, I told you on the AFC's roundtable before the season started, Buffalo was my team coming out of the AFC, and I'm going to stick with it. And they went through that rough patch. And my pick wasn't looking so great.
Yep.
They beat the Patriots last week, and let's really put that into perspective. The Patriots weren't a great team. I had the Patriots winning 8 games this season. They won 10.
Yeah.
I've had to eat crow for that for some reason. People want to keep throwing that in my face. However, as the season went on, especially those last 5 games, the Patriots really did look like the 8-win team, right? Like they look like the team that they looked at the beginning of the season, like they look at the end of the season. It's going to be a much bigger test for Buffalo. However, good teams have to blow out the teams that they're much better than. They have to flex their muscles a little bit.
Yeah.
And I wrote a piece on DeanBlondell.com last week and said that the Bills sent a message to the rest of the AFC, whoever's left in the playoffs. Like they flexed this shit last week. Back in Buffalo the first time since when? 1975? You know what I mean? Wild card game. To the roof. Dildos shined up. Everything ready to go. Tables broken. Sharks everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it because you make Paul Walker jokes on my channel. I will use. By the way, great meatloaf joke the other night. Just I was half asleep and looked at my phone and almost fell out of bed. It was fantastic. However, last year you could almost say the AFC Championship game was too big for Josh Allen, right? Like it looked like he looked awful in the second half. He really did. Like he had an awful second half. He looked okay in the first half. Or am I reversing that? I'm reversing.
I think he started to make some headway in the second half.
Yeah. Okay, so reverse it. He looked awful in one of the halves. He showed last week. That's a game in Buffalo that really, if there was pressure, it was probably last week. Number one, you're playing the Patriots, right? They've been a thorn in your side for the last how many years? It's an AFC game. You're back in Buffalo. That place there was an atmosphere and an energy running through whatever the hell your stadium's called now.
Highmark Stadium.
I miss Ralph Wilson Stadium. I miss
the Rich.
The Rich?
Rich Stadium.
Rich Stadium.
Age, Mario.
Anyways, there's an energy running through Highmark Stadium. And and Josh Allen played like it was a preseason game. Loose. Did whatever he wanted. The defense played like whatever. Inter-squad game. You know what I mean? And that game was over. Listen, that game was 7-0. And I was exchanging text messages with Patriot fans where we were saying the game's over. When that Micah Hyde interception happened, we're like, it's done. Buffalo's going to come and score, and they're going to seal this game. That finished it. Like, we conceded like 13 minutes into the game that the game was over. You
sent me a text message after the Hyde pick and said, do you want to do your post game now?
Yeah, because I meant it. And then you guys bumped me from the post game out of all things. So I was totally offended.
I wasn't even there.
I held a therapy session anyhow. I just
That's fine.
I came on your channel. I hope that all the refrigerators broke and we moved on with our life. But it was so cold in Buffalo that night, it probably didn't even matter. You could have just put everything outside. But yeah, no, Buffalo just like you lived up to the moment, and and he didn't last year. I'm gonna say he didn't live up to it against the Colts. Listen, I could make an argument that a couple bad referee calls, the Bills shouldn't have beat the Colts last year if I really wanted to get in the nitty gritty. They kind of, and even if you say they deserved to win, they scrapped through the Colts. They got smashed by Kansas City. It just looked like Allen was uncomfortable in the playoffs. He didn't look like that last Saturday, and I expect him to come out. Arrowhead's a tough place to play, but I don't know. I have full confidence in this Buffalo team. And again, I apologize to all the Buffalo fans because I'm talking this highly on them. That means bad things can happen. So I really do apologize. I really do apologize.
So one massive concern for me, and so either of you can really go on ahead and address this. There's no question that our defense played very physical that first game in the regular season. And let's put it this way. We got away with a fucking lot of calls in that Chiefs game. Do you think that McDermott and Frazier have passed that message on to the secondary to do the exact same thing? And if we do we think the officiating is going to bite us in the ass tonight?
You have to take the same approach that Kansas City takes every game. They can't throw a flag on every play. And if you look, Kansas City's defense holds on every single play. They hold your receivers. They hold everybody. They just go under the assumption like you can't throw a flag every play. The referees know that. They can't call a penalty every single play. I think you play just as physical. Listen, I'm this kind of guy, and this might sound like unsportsmanlike, whatever. I'm that kind of guy that's like, hit the quarterback after the whistle. Early. It's worth the 15-yard penalty to send a message to a guy and get him a little bit off balance. Back in the day, they might still do this, I don't know, but in hockey, they used to come down the ice, they used to fire it at the goalie's head, knowing they weren't going to score. But you fire it at his head, and it just, next time you're coming down, he's kind of up like this, and you put it between his legs. You do that to the quarterback, hit him hard, take a little shot after the whistle. If you got to take 15 yards, who gives a shit? Take the 15 yards, but send a message to Pat Mahomes that, buddy, enjoy the ground. You ever seen the longest yard, right? Enjoy the ground. You're going to be there forever. That's exactly how I would take that approach. Don't try to hurt him. Don't cheap shot him, but hit him, and hit him hard. And now, Kansas City Chiefs fans, you can tweet at me and tell me that I'm fucking dirty and I'm hoping for injury, and you can make up a bunch of stuff, but go ahead. But yeah, that's my approach.
You talk about it like that. I definitely agree with that 100%. And you start to talk about, even in the post game of last year's loss in the AFC Championship game, that's what McDermott said. And that's what's so poignant coming into now, as you start to think about it this way. He said, we have to equip our team to beat them. We have that's exactly what he said. And during the offseason, that's what they did. And you start to look at a lot of these players that were there when they went to the playoffs against Houston. Obviously, they lost in a heartbreaker against Houston. A lot of these guys, like, that is a game where I saw Allen was a little wide-eyed. Okay, he was in the playoffs for the first time. This is going to be a little challenging for him. And then you look at, like you said last year, he looked like the moment might have been a little bit too big for him, but he gutted it out. He fought it out. Now you start to look at him as he's starting to progress as a quarterback in this league and even in the playoffs. It doesn't seem like he doesn't have that kind of pressure on him. Like, I'm sure that pressure is there, but he's just sitting there going, listen, I'm going to play my game. This is what I'm going to do. The moment's not too big. I've been in the stadium before and got a win before. You know, you have a very experienced Chiefs team as well. So I just see this as going to be just a heavyweight battle back and forth, and I cannot wait to watch it. And Dan mentioned earlier, it could be one of those games where there's one crucial turnover will, you know, be the deciding factor in this game, because I can't see this game, both these teams playing the perfect game, and it comes down to somebody's leg at the end of the game. I mean, Ray, you've seen enough of those games being a New England fan where it's a heavyweight battle and then Vinatieri comes in, or who's the other guy?
The goat. And then the baby goat, Steven Gostowski, and then the ultimate goat, Nick Folk. Yeah, absolutely. Patriots know how to kick. Can I ask you guys a question as Bills fans?
Sure.
Because obviously I pay attention to the Bills, but not as heavily as you do. Here's my only concern, as, let's say, an uneducated opinion here, because I don't watch them enough. So maybe you could just take it away. I saw a stat during the regular season. I think it was heading into the second Patriots game that the Bills won. And the stat was something like the Bills were like 1-5 in games that, or 1-3 in games that finished within 7 points. And then they were like, you know, every game they won by like 15 plus type of thing.
Yeah.
How often, like, if Buffalo can't get ahead early, like what if there's a couple of stops and the Chiefs go up like 14-0? Does that concern you? Because like back in the day, no word of, like, this is, if the Patriots fell 14-0 in the first quarter, nobody was worried in New England. You know, like we were just like, the Patriots are going to get out of this. Defense going to wake up. Brady's going to do something special. We watched, I think, a divisional round game against Baltimore where they fell down behind 14 twice and they came back twice and ended up winning the game. So like you were never a 14-point lead was never enough. Sometimes like a 17-point wasn't enough to make us nervous. Would it make you nervous if Buffalo fell down by 14 points tonight at Arrowhead, or would you have confidence that they could come back, the defense could wake up, and Allen could bring this team back to a victory?
You want to start going, Dan?
Yeah. So you mentioned 1-3. I'm pretty sure that it actually got worse. I'm pretty sure it was 1-5, right, Mario? It was like 1-5, 1-6, right when the regular season ended, for games decided by less than 7. It's funny because, I mean, I really just think that, really, once you look at it like this being the ultimate game of inches, if you go back into 2020, I mean, we essentially had the opposite record. It was like 5-1 for any game determined by less than 7.
It was 0-5. Spin just comes in 0-5.
It was 0-5 this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a lot of it had to do with just lack of execution and really just the timing of possessions, right? I'm confident. I know that we have it in like our DNA to be able to win those close games. It was just this year it completely flip-flopped because we very much could have been in the exact same situation in 2020. This year, unfortunately, the cards just didn't end up sort of falling into our place. I feel like where our team is at now from a health standpoint, I feel like we have this team that is able to operate off of these huge comebacks if need be. But I mean, really, I would very much love for us not to be in that situation whatsoever. I would love for us to be able to control the game and have like an early lead. I wouldn't be nervous if they tied it up or they went by 3, but ultimately, yes, if the Chiefs go up by 14 points, I'd say by any point after the third, I'm going to be shitting my pants. I am. Not gonna lie.
I'm telling Hashtag Nation and Bills Mafia, drop your scores for the game, what you think it's going to be, because we're going to be heading out here in the next couple of minutes. But as far as you got to understand is which team today can get their ball club to play complementary football. Now, we've seen how the Bills defensively are built, because when they started to lose those, they used to get down by 14 points. Obviously, more of the onus was put on the offense. They were trying to push. They were trying to, force certain things that were going on. But this defense really, as good as they've been playing, they're not really a team that could really defend a power run team. So you start to look at some of them games they lose. They lose to Pittsburgh. They lose to Indianapolis and stuff like that. So you start to look at those
New
teams.
England.
They could run the ball. They could, if they get a lead, they're going to run the ball. The way that the Buffalo Bills are built is they're built to have a lead and turn the other team one-dimensional, and that defense is unstoppable when they are flipped to one-dimensional. When they have to just defend the pass, because that back seven is probably the best back seven in the NFL. And I'm saying probably because I know there's other back sevens that are very, very talented. But when the Buffalo Bills have like 7, 10, 14-point lead, I don't see anybody scoring on them ever, unless there's a big play that just breaks open. So you look at in Tennessee as well. If the game is close, that is something that you could be worried about. But with this Kansas City Chiefs team that's built a lot like Buffalo, where they are used to playing with huge leads, and when the game gets close, it gets a little tighter for them. They don't have a power running game. They don't have all these guys that could just smash it up between the tackles. So that could be a concern for the Buffalo Bills today, being a close game. They're 0-5. It might be the narrative that we start talking about at 10:30 tonight, Dan, where we're sitting there going, listen, now they're 1-5, but that one was a playoff game, and it was a close game within 7 points because they were playing a team that didn't have a power running game to back up to getting a lead on the Bills. But yeah. I believe wholeheartedly this offense of the Buffalo Bills could score at will on anybody.
I agree.
Okay, listen. After what the Buffalo Bills did the New England Patriots last weekend, you could have at least acknowledged that the Patriots won a game this year and that they ran on them. You talked about. Oh yeah, I forgot. What a coincidence!
I block out painful things.
You put 40 points on us last week. I invited you on my show this week to gloat about it. At least you could have said it's the Patriots when they won the first game.
Did I gloat? I didn't gloat once.
You could have thrown. I gave you the opportunity. We went through your Twitter account. We already proved that you flex, that you pretend not to. But you could have thrown me a bone here, and you could have just said in New England that first game. Boys, I gotta go. Thanks for having me on. We have to go look. I gotta go get shower heads. Take care, boys. Thank you.
Get them shower heads.
Maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. Maybe we'll have enough time. All right, Ray, you take it easy. Enjoy the game today, brother.
Bye-bye. Good luck.
All right. Thank you, brother. All right. Hashtag Nation, Bills Mafia, Don Mafia. Thank you for joining me and Dan Mitchell for this pregame. Let's get the nerves out of our system because the Bills are going to be playing the Kansas City Chiefs tonight at Arrowhead Stadium. It's going to be a heavyweight battle between two giants. I cannot wait to watch this. Dan, you enjoy your party. Wish your brother a happy birthday for me. I hope you have a great night, and go Bills. Let's
go Bills, baby. Let's get it done.